28th of December, 1939. Somewhere near the German-French border. Gefreiter Karl Metzger. I can't shake this cold. It clings to me, no matter how many layers I wear, no matter how tightly I wrap myself in my blanket at night. We arrived late last night, after hours on that cursed train. The wheels screamed on every turn, and the frost covered the windows so thickly you couldn't see outside. I don't even know the name of the place we were stopped, just a desolate village blanketed in snow. We don't know why we've been sent here. Nobody tells us anything, of course. Orders come down from above, and we follow them, as always. But you can't stop soldiers from talking. Some say syndicalists are stirring again on this side of the border, that the French are arming themselves. Others whisper about trouble with the British. I even heard of one of the men claim we're just being used as pawns in some diplomatic game show strength for the world to see. Who knows? Maybe he's all of it. Maybe he's none of it. Not even a week ago, I was in Greece. Fighting in those rocky hills felt like a lifetime, trudging and sweating, ambushes and blood. Syndicalists fought like ghosts, healers one moment, vanish the next. And the locals? They glared at us from behind their shutters, no matter how much bread and medicine we handed out. I didn't think I'd miss Greece, but now, as I stand here in this icy wind, I'd trade all this snow for the olive trees and that endless sun. Christmas came and went like any other day. A few of us tried to make something of it. Johann shared some chocolate his wife had sent him, and Schreiber smuggled a bottle of schnapps from somewhere, nobody asked how. We sang Stille Nacht quietly, huddled together under the stars. It felt hollow, though. I kept thinking about home. My family in Stuttgart would have lit the Advent candles and sat down for roast goose. My younger brothers probably arguing over who got the drumstick. I'd give anything to be there, just for an hour. Instead, I sit here in this freezing barrack, trying to keep my boots from turning into blocks of ice. The monotony of it all, cleaning rifles, marching drills, staring into nothing, on guard duty, it grinds you down. There's something worse about the waiting. You can feel it in the air. There's this sense that something is coming, and none of us knows what it is. I pray I'll see next Christmas at home with my family, in a world where we don't have to keep looking over our shoulders. Where if there's one thing I've learned in this uniform, is that peace is always just out of reach. In March 1940, the situation on the German-French border is tense. Both sides have built significant reinforcements along the line of contact, all the way from Besançon in the south to Calais in the north, and are getting ready for a hard and grueling war. Obviously, the French have no interest in fighting the war in their own territory, so fortifying the border for them does make sense. It does highlight, however, the threat that potentially comes from a British invasion in our rear, and as such we will have to at some point bring some troops north to defend the Danish-German coast from any potential British incursions, but the main task for that will fall to the Navy, where the 1st Schlachtgeschwader is securing the coastline, preventing a British breakthrough at this point. Since we're looking at the 1st Schlachtgeschwader, I think Erich Raeder can get the marksman skill for additional critical hits from all the naval practice that has been done in the past years. And the war support of the German population is not great. This has some negative effects. And obviously from combat casualties there is some discontent, but generally the biggest problem is that the German population still has the memories of the Weltkrieg and the sacrifices and losses that came with it, and is very much not ready for a confrontation. So while we have dealt with the political situation in Germany by isolating the opposition and unifying the empire under our leadership, the same cannot be said for the population. So we do have to do some work on convincing them that war is unfortunate, but will be forced upon us. So for that, there are a couple of decisions I can take. Most interestingly, the film industry utilizing it by making patriotic movies and generally start working a little bit on the impression that this war is going to be different. But first and foremost, we are looking to replace Gericke in government with Admiral Canaris to take care of additional operatives and get our intelligence operations expanded. They're already pretty good, but we're currently running 2 operations, one against the French and one against the Russians, to infiltrate their respective armed forces and get a better idea of what's going on there. More operatives mean more opportunities as well. So we'll try to wrap up the war in North Africa as quickly as possible. The cavalry divisions under Eberhard von Mackensen are on the way towards the border, and the Turkish have already landed near near Tripoli and are trying to take the enemy port there. So hopefully with some air support from our side, which does not quite have the range, I believe. Oh, that's because we are actually moving the second Kampfgeschwader and the Kampfschulgeschwader over to our new airbase in Benghazi, and from there we will then, once they arrive, we will then support we'll support the Turkish invasion near Tripoli, and the defensive operations here, because it looks like the Turkish troops have gotten themselves encircled, but our cavalry is moving towards the front line through the desert. I will move the 2nd Cavalry Division a little faster if possible, and we do have available construction, actually. I believe we do need to improve our radar station. That is indeed true. So let's build an additional radar station across the coastline and in the north to cover this better. And I think there's one in the Low Countries, and we will have to improve our radar stations in the east. Although, given that we're building inside Allied territory, that isn't really going to make a huge difference. So these radar stations are probably all that we're going to be having. Alternatively, we can build a backup station, and we probably should, as far east as we possibly can. And I think we could build in Poland. Let's get a radar station up in Poland, and let's get that to work. All right, the Turkish troops near Tripoli are encircled. The naval landings and the port have failed, so we're rushing the cavalry towards the front lines. And the Heinkels from the air hopefully will do sufficient damage to the attackers that the Turkish troops can hold out until reinforcements arrive. And I think the border is pretty much undefended, so we're going to go immediately. On a forced ride along the coastline and through the desert in the rear to shorten the lines towards the Tripoli naval base. Unfortunately, naval supply from Benghazi is going to be minimal, so we will have to rely on the Air Force here to assist. But the Turkish troops so far have held out, and they might be able to launch a counterattack against Tripoli if they have the awareness that with our air support they could do this. But it looks like they're not willing to risk it. They'd rather dig in and try as much as they can to defend themselves until reinforcements arrive. We have unassigned divisions, and I think what are we training at the moment? I think we are training up for which army was that? Was that from von Manstein's 9th Army, I believe? Yes. So he needs another 14 divisions, and we are currently training 21. So we're just going to assign them by hand for now. So all of them for now will join von Manstein in the east to reinforce our positions there. I believe we have equipped the infantry with anti-air, and we will equip our capable divisions with field hospitals, which is going to which is going to reduce the amount of casualties that the offensive divisions are taking. It's going to need a few trucks, but we have them available. So the assault divisions can take that for now. And also the mountain divisions. So we'll spend these 20 XP, and then we'll save up again. I do want to get another step into the doctrine tree. Civilian factories available. So we do need more. We do need more military factories, potentially more airports as well. We do have a relatively large airbase here, but I'd like to have a bigger airbase in the Alsace region, and potentially in the east. We have some, but we'll increase the size of the available air bases here in case we need to fall back. We have a large airbase in Vilnius at this point. I think the frontline fortifications are looking decent. There are some small gaps here that we can improve. Other than that, I think most of the frontline fortifications here are looking good, and hopefully we'll be able to hold the line. We'll reinforce the Ukrainian fortifications a bit. There we go, and hopefully that'll be able to hold off the Russians. Let's get back to North Africa, where we are. The cavalry is at this point mostly unopposed. They have rushed some divisions. In to hold them back, but even though our cavalry divisions are exhausted, they should be able to push through them. They have been very rapidly deployed into the desert and haven't had time to organize themselves yet. So we'll push them. We'll push them ahead of us. And we get the Garde Cavalry Division to move north. It looks like another coordinated attack on the Turkish near Tripoli, and German cavalry is rushing in to try and save our Ottoman friends here. Let's get both divisions in to push north towards Tripoli. Taking the port of Tripoli is going to be our primary objective. So that's the direction of the cavalry, and the Turkish just have to hold out. They hopefully have managed to dig in a little bit, not an awful lot, and they are encircled. So the Heinkels are trying their best to attempt and repel the attackers. But now the 1st Cavalry Division is counterattacking near Tripoli, and we will try to connect to our encircled Turkish Ottoman brethren. And I think with the combined weight of these divisions, we should be able to push the defenders out of Tripoli, which gives us, well, at least out of the port, which gives us supply. And we will be able to encircle a division in the south here as well. And that, I think, should be the relief that the Turks have been waiting for. There we go. Turkish troops have now supply. We have taken the port. And from here on out, the cavalry can break through the enemy lines rapidly, and we can destroy the last remaining enemy forces. Start moving on the actual capital now that we have the port under our control. Is there an airport that is closer? Does not look like it that we control, so that's fine. The Heinkels will fly in from Benghazi, and I think they have enough. Range to do that. So let's consolidate the cavalry positions in the north and get ready for the assault towards. Let them organize in the hills. We have encircled one of the remaining southern divisions here in Tripolitanian divisions, and once the cavalry divisions have cleared up the south and have. There's the airport. The airport is west of Tripoli, so there's no way we can get there. Once they have cleared the situation in the south here, and have consolidated the forces in the north, then we will launch the attack on Tripoli. Meanwhile, in Ukraine, The Ukrainian Foreign Ministry has just informed us that Captain Anatoly Yurevich of the OVDV, the Ukrainian intelligence service, has managed to steal documents detailing the Russian plan to launch a major military offensive in Ukraine during this year. The plans are remarkably detailed on both sides. It is worrying how well they are aware of the Ukrainian troops' concentrations. This must be because of an amateurish internal security of the OVDV and political unreliability of Ukrainian-Russian population. But this information is a double-edged sword, as now we are aware of in-depth information regarding Russian troops' concentration, air bases, supply depots, and artillery positions. The Ukrainian government has also requested reinforcements to the border to potentially deter Russians from attacking. Though if the plans have advanced to this point, it does not seem probable that few additional divisions in Donbas would dissuade Dmitry Romanov's regime from their offensive plans. We are indeed rapidly approaching another 1914, and we have an intelligence bonus towards the Russian Republic, but the world tension is increased by 6, and things are going to get hot. So it looks like the major blow of the Russians is supposed to happen in Ukraine. Currently, the Ukrainian lines are relatively thin, so I am wondering if it makes sense. We have 11 divisions now, and we can actually make that a few more, 14 divisions. We've got 14 divisions in the 9th Army, and we can potentially redeploy them to hold the Ukrainian or to at least to reinforce the Ukrainian lines, because there's not much, honestly, here. While we have fortified the lines, the Ukrainian troops are too far and few in between to effectively hold this. So we are going to deploy the 9th Army, the entirety of it, please. We're going to deploy the 9th Army on a new fallback line along the Ukrainian fortifications, and we'll push them south, and we'll get them to hold the southern line here. So 2, 3. Okay, slight reshuffle on the lines. We are going to get the 9th Army to significantly reinforce the eastern flank, the northeastern flank of the Ukrainian positions. And we get the regular troops from the 4th Army to try and fill out the gaps in the lines all the way up north to Narva. And we will see if we can hold there. We do have some scout air wings in the area. It might be nice to have another air wing if I have some more scout planes. Yes, we do. So we get another scout wing up in the south, and they can fly over the Caspian air zone for some aerial reconnaissance. Other than that, we are still building up or training up the remaining air wings, and we can probably create another one. We do have a few planes, but nothing major. We do have some Condors available now, and the Focke-Wulf 200. So we can probably start creating a wing up in the north here. Oldenburg seems like a good place for it, and we will create the naval patrol wing here. Anyway, back to the south, where we are encircling the last remaining defenders. So let's see if we can actually manage to surround the enemy positions here, while the cavalry is regaining some organizations. More divisions coming online. We'll all send them over to Ukraine, because Ukraine is currently the most critical position. We've got the Bayerische Kavalleriedivision still on the move. They might be able to, yes, they will be able to take a strike towards Tripoli, and we'll get the 2nd and the Garde Cavalry to pin down the enemy positions east of Tripoli, and that should allow the Bayerische Kavalleriedivision to move in from the south and and take out the enemy capital, and that should be the end of the war, and should allow the cavalry divisions to return home. Iceland has joined the Third International, so the North Atlantic is threatened by a band of syndicalist forces, and yes, we do have the submarines. We do have the submarines stationed in Ireland, but we are desperately short on convoys at this point. So how's our construction going? We are building. We're building up convoys convoy escorts as quickly as we can, but it is going to take a bit of time. So the V170 A1s are going to be going to the Geleitgruppe and building that up. But next one coming out in 25th of April. So, all right. Navy is slowly building up. And the North Africa campaign is coming to a close. The Bayerische Cavalry Division is at the border, has taken Tripoli. Tripolitania has capitulated. Great news. And we will pass. We will let the Ottomans. We will let the Ottomans take over the territory. They are uniquely positioned to. They're uniquely positioned to deal with any kind of local population that we don't necessarily want to get involved in. Not sure why they are not taking the southern region of Tripolitania. They just want the north coast. So it looks like they don't want to deal with the tribes in the desert, with Bedouin tribes in the desert. We'll give them one more opportunity to do so. But it looks like they're not interested. So in that case, we will confirm and exit this. And Tripolitania was annexed. The Ottomans have taken over the territory, and that means the war should be over. Yes, the war is over, which means we can bring the 10th back into the fold of the Second Army, because that was a sort of temporary detachment. Alternatively, we could just leave them as we could send them down south to Middle Africa. Is there any threat to Middle Africa at this point? Mostly Entente territory. South Africa is not syndicalist, so it's mostly from the Entente, really. Not really anything syndicalist that would cause us trouble. Definitely, we're going to be sending the 2 tactical bomber wings back to Germany. So they get back to the Alsace-Lorraine Air Base. Where did my... Yeah, there's my naval patrol wing. You were supposed to be operating out of Oldenburg Air Base. So please move north, and we'll get you to exercise, and then they can start taking a look at the North Sea. But things are getting dicier and dicier. 4th Panther Division is complete. You will go to the Second Army. So the Königlich Bayerische Infanterie goes over to the Eastern Front, and 4th Panzer goes to Second Army, which does improve we had six tank divisions. I think that's about as much as I wanted to have. So how's our stockpile at the moment? We do have a fair amount of self-propelled artillery. We've got a couple of flame tanks, medium tanks, not so much. But what we can do potentially is improve the Sturmdivision. No, they already have flame tanks. Okay, Sturmdivision has flame tanks. Panzerdivision has flame tanks, and probably how would that look? We have 100. We need 300. We've got 170, so they'd be under strength. So we'll wait a bit for a bit of a build up of self-propelled artillery, and then I think we can sort of complete the Panzer division. What are we going to do with these cavalry divisions? I think they're not necessarily. I think I'm going to send them to Azerbaijan, honestly. they can, for now, help defend the northern border of Azerbaijan. So let's get them over there. And the Heeresgruppe Afrika is now slightly misleading. We're going to call it Heeresgruppe Mittlerer Osten, the Army Group Middle East. So they will be moving. It looks like Iran. Iran is actually, Iran is subjugated towards the Ottoman Empire. All right, that gets us to the point where we have a bit more war support. The population is significantly happier with the fact that the troops are returning home. The war in Africa is over for now. The North African coast is consolidated. How's Ethiopia doing against Somalia? Struggling by the looks of it, but not getting involved there. Kenya is part of the Reichspakt, so Ethiopia may want to join at some point, but not my priority right now. This we were using for naval things. Do I want to spend 50 naval XP? No, I'd rather have another spot in the doctrine. So let's get that done. And we've got the Wilhelmshaven up to level 6, which means we can select a policy. But I don't want to necessarily. I don't necessarily want to spend 25 political power unless there is something extremely good in here. Production output, max range, stack size, light battery, heavy battery hit, weather penalty. There are a couple of really good ones here. So I do want to get the operative in, however. So this is just something we're going to be doing at a later point. I think we've completed the left branch, and we have completed the right branch because these are exclusive. So we can now go down either AA or light attack for battleships. I am probably you can get both. So this is just really to fill them out. Let's begin by light attack, and we will eventually refit the ships, but not at this stage, because war is potentially around the corner. So let's go through and Ukraine is no longer sending rifles because we are no longer sufficiently deficit in that regard, and we could potentially. So one thing that is concerning is the lack of success for Germany, for German East Asia. How much manpower they have? They 140,000 manpower. Now, given that we can't really do anything to send our own forces over, what we could do, we could try to spare some much needed otherwise airplanes, but I'm not feeling that really, because we do really need those airplanes at home. So let's complete the build-up of the air wings at home because of the Eastern Front, basically. So let's get a couple more air wings up. We've got a heavy fighter wing we can bring up. We've got another Heinkel wing that we can bring up. We can get the first Dornier 19s up as well. And that would be another fighter wing, but I don't really think we're going to get that going. Maybe we can send them some BF-109s, and they can, we'll send the old BF-109s to East Asia, because they're winding down at this point anyway, and they're being replaced by the Focke-Wulf 190s. So we're just refurbishing the last aircraft here, but I think we could actually send. What else do they need? Let's have a look. They are short on infantry equipment and artillery. We can probably spare some artillery for them, and maybe some trains, because that'll affect their logistical prowess as well. So if we'll send some fighters over, and yeah, we'll send some fighters, some trains, and some artillery. So let's do that. Send material support. We still have some of the old 105s, so we can probably just send all of them. So we'll send the 10,5 Zentimeter leichte Feldhaubitze. We will send trains. Let's send them 10 trains once. And we can send them the Bf-109Ds that we have available here for what good it does them, and they can. There we go. Hopefully, they can make some use of them. So let's send that over. I will not be sending bombers because we honestly need them elsewhere. So, all right, back to Germany and the borders. And the borders of France and Russia, where things are really, really dicey and gonna get complicated very quickly. There's a railway gun somewhere here. I am not entirely certain where. Oh, that's a Ukrainian railway gun. Okay, so it's not mine, so I don't need to manage it. But we do now start to have forces in place, and they will start to dig in. The maximum entrenchment here is 54%. And hopefully with the combination of that and with fortifications, we'll be able to hold the line there. That said, having a fallback fortification line in the east might not be terrible, but for now we'll just complete the Ukrainian fortifications as quickly as we possibly can and get that all underway. And I did say that we wanted to have a naval doctrine, as we are the fleet in being. We are relatively far at the beginning still. Battlefield concert. So this would be this is the battlefield fleet. So the heavy ships. We could go for the convoy escorts or for submarine operations. I think I'm going to focus on the heavies for now. So let's unlock that, and that spends most of our naval experience at this point. And additional troops becoming available, filling up von Manstein's army relatively quickly. And we now have 51% war support, so we could also change to extensive conscription before the war begins again. That would significantly increase the amount of decisions. That would significantly increase the amount of available manpower and basically make the population, willing or not, pressed into military service. Where are we currently going? We are going for Wehrsport organization, which increases the recruitable population, and we have the breakdown rules of legislation. Yes, so we'll need to do that, and then we'll change the conscription. All right. So next political power will go into. Changing Gericke. We still have one position to fill in. I think von Manstein would be good, or I can remove from Hammerstein-Eckwood as the chief of army, which I probably will, because he's right now an army reformer. So who would we have available as chief of army? Let's take a look if any of our field marshals is actually available for something. So we'd have von Rundstedt, who could become army offense entrenchment specialist. That might actually be interesting to get him as chief of army, because we are fighting a relatively heavy. The offense specialist is also very interesting. So either of these two, that would give us, he's currently at 4, so +4 entrenchment, not 4%, +4 points of entrenchment. So that would be quite interesting. We have Kurt von Hammerstein-Eckwart, who is a chief of army role, just the reformer, and he could become the combined arms genius in just a regular military high command. And that's it actually at this point in terms of our field marshals. So we could get von Rundstedt, von Hammerstein-Eckwart, or we could take one of the field marshals who are available. Not feeling Walter Blomberg, we can't get in either. We could get von Brauchitsch or Ludwig Beck, but Ludwig Beck would be just a permanent expert, whereas if we were going to change von Rundstedt and give him the army offense specialist, he would eventually become more skilled and have more of an impact down the road. So an interesting choice here between additional entrenchment and additional division attack. Division attack is also useful for is also useful in the defense. It's not that that's a problem. It's just more that the entrenchment would stack very nicely right now, but then I would have to get somebody else to be an army offensive specialist. Anyway, we don't have to make that decision just now, because the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to get some more operatives, yeah, I'll get back if either something happens or we reach 150 political power. The improved computing machine is done, so we are still too far ahead from that. We can get the advanced fire control systems, but I'm not necessarily planning at this stage to run through another naval refit. We can also at some point start the atomic research to catch up with what the French are doing. But that is a scary prospect. We can also potentially just rush construction a bit more, or get improved equipment conversion. But let me take a look what else we've got that's necessary to happen. Yeah, I think we are researching the Sonderkraftfahrzeug 11. We do have to get some improvements on the Marines and Mountaineers, but getting the Maschinengewehr 39, the machine gun 39, and I think that's a grenade launcher of some, or maybe a mortar of some point. That's something we could do. Definitely improved field hospitals, improved recon be good as well. Not interested in the war austerity trains, but tank research as well is running behind. So I think tank research is something that we're going to have to go. So 1940 medium is what we are going to go with, Henschel. And I have another division for the Ukrainian front, and we have some decisions available by the looks of it. I think these are all intelligence decisions potentially. Okay, we're not recruiting any operatives right now, so not sure how to get rid of those. Anyway, we will continue on building up, and we're waiting for the eventual assault coming in from Russia or France. Concerning news from India, the Princely Federation has capitulated. This means the commune is now in full control over the Indian state, and that means a potential syndicalist interruption of the East Asian trade routes. We do have a base on Ceylon, where we could potentially from which we could potentially operate, and where we might actually have to assign some troops, and we do actually control the port of Pondicherry, but that puts us in a direct potential conflict with the commune, which means I might have to pull a couple of divisions out into the region. Has Germany made any progress? No, it hasn't. So these three divisions here. Okay, hang on. Princely Federation have capitulated. These 3 divisions here, part of the 5th Army under Hoth of the Asian theater, I think they are going to guard the ports in Ceylon. So these 3, please guard the ports here, and I'm not seeing that we'll be defending the Pondicherry port if there was any kind of assault happening, but we'll defend Ceylon. So we'll send and potentially the island positions in the southwest. So yeah, let's get 3 divisions over to get them to defend the ports, and we have to select a new national focus. Now I think the breakdown rules of legislation is a good one we can go with. Alternatively, there are a fair few good things. Alternatively, we can do some things in the naval branch as well. Imperial shipyards, a couple of research bonuses here. Flottenverein. Flottenverein is naval advisor cost, okay. Plus 5% recovery, plus 10% dockyard output. I think the Flottenverein is a good choice right now to improve the output of the German dockyards, and to see that we can continue building up the 2nd strike group, because right now only the 1st Schlachtgeschwader is combat ready. The 2nd Schlachtgeschwader is still very much short of screening ships. So because we have built the capital ships first, so improved dockyard output would be great. But the other thing we're going to be doing is we are going to replace the reformist agrarian Günther Gericke with Admiral Wilhelm Canaris, which is something we've been planning to do for a very long time. So that should give us additional potential operatives in that we can use for further intelligence operations in France, Russia, or potentially Britain, because we don't actually know an awful lot about Britain yet. But we do have a fair amount of information about France and Russia at this point, I believe. So let's have a quick look and see. Yes, we have 100%. We have 100% insight into the French, and let's see what they have. So the French have 73 factories, 59 military factories, 13 dockyards. They are mostly their primary infantry is comprised of 3 artillery, 9 infantry. So their infantry divisions are noticeably more equipped than ours. And we just don't have the artillery at this point to change that. If I was going to put an artillery here, an artillery battalion, we would need 3,700 artillery, so not enough that we have for that. We could start equipping some frontline divisions better, but we will see. We will see what good it does to the French. They do have some light tank forces, but other than that, they're very much under-equipped. This one is a bit more capable, but I don't think they'll stand any chance against our. And they have about 1.32 million men under arms in the army. In the navy, they do have the Bretagne class and the Louise Michel class as a, I think, it looks like a converted carrier. So not much in terms of heavy lifting in the navy. A lot of submarines, but not an awful lot in terms of combat power. In the air, they do have 1,600 close air support planes, 720 fighters, 100 naval bombers, 100 tactical bombers. So they're focusing very heavy on the close air support. Let's see what they are actually using there. There we go. Most of them seem to be relatively capable as well. So that is definitely something that we're going to need to deal with. What do we know about Russia at this point? we're still lacking in intelligence about the Russian army, and in the case of Britain, it's similarly bad. So the biggest threat would be the Royal Navy, but they have mostly Weltkrieg. Most of their ships appear to be from the Weltkrieg period. Very few more modern ships, mostly around light cruisers, and a couple of submarines. So I think we can deal with them relatively well. But that is the French have a large number of airplanes. So if we're looking at the Western Front, we're matched in fighters. But we are certainly outnumbered in terms of when it comes to air support. So the armed forces definitely do need to make use of their AA guns, and we will be producing more for additional reinforcements. Currently, we're building the relatively old Flak 36, but I think we are researching more modern. Yeah, we're already researching more modern guns. And to deal with that French aerial superiority, it'll get quite interesting, and we'll see how the Luftwaffe is going to stack up. Can we reinforce the aircraft here? We've got a couple of Bf 109s, but inclined not to use them that much anymore. We'll get an air wing up as a sort of training wing, and as part of the first Luftflotte. So that every little bit helps, but obviously, yeah, Jagdgeschwader, please exercise. But obviously, yeah, we will be outnumbered in the beginning in the air quite significantly. So the French are bringing along a fair amount of air, and so will probably be the Russians, and the British will join as well. So it's going to get interesting, and we'll see how well the Luftwaffe can hold its own against that numerical superiority. The next use for political power is probably going to be around. Let's see. It's probably going to be around. I could do the domestic. We can't use the domestic film industry right now, but because we're not at war. But we'll see what else we can do. There's still a fair amount of smaller items that we can set. We still need to hire somebody into the military high command. We could get. No, this isn't quite what I was thinking. I was thinking if we had somebody who would work well with entrenchment. Could also get von Brauchitsch, who is an artillery genius. But that's 200 political power. It's a fair amount that we don't really have. So we'll see. We'll save up some. For now, I have more civilian factories, which means we are going to build more military factories, because the French Air Force is large and in a scary manner. That is something we need to counter to a degree, and we still have a fair amount of capacity to build. So I think the fighter production of the Focke-Wulfs is going to be, once everything's filled out, is going to be the next target. I do want to get these filled out first, and then we'll ramp up the Focke-Wulf 190 production to increase the amount of planes available in Europe. We have enough command power to give some of our admirals some new skills, long awaited. Karl Dönitz can get the torpedo expert or the loading drill master. I think torpedo expert is mostly going to go after convoys. Torpedo expert might be nice. They're not exclusive, so we can always get the other one later. And let's see, someone in the Aufklärungsgeschwader von Nordeck can get the search pattern expert. I think that's a good choice. The alternative would be Marshall, who is going to be who's on the escort fleet. So I think I think for Nordic, yeah, can get the search pattern expert, and that means, there we go. That means we're almost through with our admirals. It is the silence before the storm, really. It is the scary the scary moment, and we're waiting. We're laying in wait, like the soldiers on the front lines are saying. We're laying in wait, waiting for things to happen. Additional manpower for the Eastern Front, and that means the 9th Army under von Manstein is almost complete, which means I think we can get them to extend their range here and take on the fallback areas. I think actually we have to make sure that we include the front lines here. There we go. So get everybody into their positions. We're in eastern Ukraine. We're holding a bit of a fallback position because I don't see the front lines here of being defensible. So the line from Kharkiv to Mariupol along the rivers is going to be where we held. We'll be holding in near Sumy at the front lines if possible, but we have a fallback line in the north, and we let the Ukrainians do a delaying action in the front while the Germans are going to be digging in, just making sure that all the troops are trained up and fully trained and ready for their defense. I think the Eastern Front is starting to look pretty good. On the Western Front, the troops should be dug in significantly, and I have big doubts that the French are going to be able to crack these lines. The North looks almost a little bit weaker, but these are very powerful divisions, and they're fully dug in, so I don't have any doubts there. All right, we once again we sit and wait. I've reorganized I've made sure to organize the lines here. The naval patrol bombers are still training up, but they can do some air recon, but they will also be used to just spot, or we can potentially use them for naval strikes, because the naval patrol bombers actually, if we look at them, where are they? The Focke-Wulf 200 Condor are actually capable of running their own naval strikes. So if we get them onto anti-submarine operations, they can be quite effective as well. And yeah, in the east, we've got 3 air wings doing intelligence operations over Russia, and we will be starting more operations over the UK as well. More free factories. Our fuel reserves are dwindling. We might actually start to slowly import fuel, but we'll be building more military factories. And the Rhineland has a lot of capacity still for building up our military industry, and especially the air forces are going to be quite important. Rheinmetall is finished with another trade point. We can apply a policy once we have 25 for that. That's a good use. What can we get? We have that's reliability. Improved artillery is going to be the most used. So either we improve the production of artillery, or we improve the features of it. I think production of artillery is not a bad one to take. This is tank anti-air. We can get that eventually, but for right now, for the towed artillery production efficiency gain, and it's the same here. So gun mass production is what we're going to be going, because I don't also need to spend XP, because we can. It'll just increase the amount of production we have. We may, once we have some free military factories, actually increase the amount of factories on artillery. We already have 10, which is quite a bit. we'll see. Probably planes are the priority. Von Richthofen is in charge of the Air Force after all. The infiltration of the French army is completed, and the team had no trouble getting in, avoid any counterintelligence. We made contact with a number of officers who don't support the Kommunard regime, and we'll make our way back and wait for further assessment. So we have again a very good view of the French army disposition, which means I think the next operation we're going to start in France, as we now have several operatives who have nothing better to do. We will build up intelligence networks in France again, and I've got one here. Next operative coming in 19 days. And I am probably going to be sending one to... How many do we have in Russia right now? I think we've got one operative in Russia. It'd probably be good to have a second one there. So let's send one operative to Novgorod and build the intelligence network. The next thing we probably want to do in France is to start making resistance contacts and prepare for a collaboration government. So that would be interesting as well. And our fuel reserves are still in a decent shape. However, the use of Navy and Air Forces is generally costing us fuel. Even the Army is costing us fuel. But we are getting to the point that the 9th Army under von Manstein is going to be almost complete in the east, which means we can probably queue up a few more infantry divisions that can guard that can be a bit of a guarding force on the northern coast, just in case the Navy lets anything through. It's unlikely. The mountain troops should be able to handle the north, and I think all in all we are in a good position. We've got the cavalry divisions defending our interests in Azerbaijan. We have the eastern flank suitably fortified against the Russian incursions, and we have the French border is going to start looking like a massive static war at this point. So I think the choice of doctrine here was not a bad one. We do need to go down further, but we are still. In fact, actually, I think we can get one of the spirits. The professional officer corps. Yeah, that reduces land doctrine cost further. So. Once we have the so after the Flottenverein, we'll go down towards breakdown rules of legislation, then change the conscription law, and then change the spirit. So that's the plan. We are not going to start our own attack against France. If the syndicalists want war they shall have. We are ready. Our allies are ready, and German East Asia still hasn't it has been pushed back from the borders of Saigon again. Still hasn't managed to break through, despite the fact that we have sent them fighters and trains. They're still short on trains. I'm not sure if our equipment supply has already arrived. No, it hasn't. So. We will. We should get there anytime soon, and then hopefully we can do our part. But yeah, that's the situation. We are waiting with bated breath for the French and the Russians to make the first move.